I'm listening to one album a day all year, and here's what I listened to over the last week. Up first, we got Black Puma's self-titled from 2019. It was my introduction to them and their kind of psychedelic soul sound. It reminded me a lot of Silk Sonic, which I covered back in January. My favorite songs off of that one were Color and Black Moon Rising, and as for a score, I gave that one a 7.5. Then the next day I listened to Kind of Blue by Miles Davis, 1959 release, the most iconic jazz album ever. Probably I can safely say that. History making in many ways. On a personal level though, not something I will re-listen to often. So What and All Blues will make the playlist that's linked in my bio. Score, I did give it a 9, but again, not something I'm going to listen to much. Monday I listened to Waylon and Willie by Waylon Jennings and Willie Nelson, Outlaw Country from 1978. Like most country, not 100% my cup of tea, but it's still better than what's out there nowadays. One cool thing that caught me off guard was a cover of Fleetwood Mac's Gold Dust Woman, which had only come out the year before on Rumors. Mamas Don't Let Your Babies Grow Up to Be Cowboys and Gold Dust Woman will make the playlist. Score 6.5 on that one. The Battle of Los Angeles by Rage Against the Machine was up after that. Finishing off Rage Against the Machine's discography with this one. Solid listen with themes and a title that still ring true today given the current events going on in LA. Not as good as their first two albums, still very solid. My favorite tracks were Guerrilla Radio and Born as Ghosts. Score, I gave it a 7 out of 10. Cuts and Bruises by Inhaler was up after that. It was my first taste of Inhaler and I left pretty impressed. I'm not a big U2 fan, so knowing Bono's son was the singer had me feeling in the middle going into it. Very good pop rock. Makes sense why they're growing as fast as they are. Love Will Get You There and Dublin in Ecstasy make the playlist, and I gave it a 7.5. Yesterday I listened to Heaven and Hell by Black Sabbath, their first without Ozzy and with Ronnie James Dio on vocals, their last with Bill Ward. Their sound was slightly adjusted to fit Dio and his singing style. It feels less sludge and doom metal and more just straight up heavy music. Heaven and Hell and Wishing Well were my favorites, and Score, I gave it an 8. And then today, right before recording this, I listened to Bat Out of Hell by Meatloaf, debut from 1977. It's a rock opera in its sound, very grandiose and over the top. Sold 43 million copies worldwide, was been developed into a musical, and it wasn't an immediate hit, but rather it got its flowers later through the 80s and into the current day. The title track and Heaven Can Wait were my favorites that made the playlist, and just like Heaven and Hell, Bat Out of Hell also gets an 8 out of 10. I'll see you next week.